Have you got money locked in your home that could be used to purchase a buy-to-let investment or even a Lamborghini Huracan? Okay, so no to the car. We invest in assets first on this channel, then we use the income to buy our luxury item. But in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 main ways in which you can release equity from your home. Now, just before I go on to explain those options to you, I want to set the scene slightly, as releasing equity might not be for everyone. You see, in the UK, we are often fed beliefs that we need to follow. An example of this might be going to university. Now, without getting into the university debate on this channel, for some people, university is absolutely the right route to take for their career. But there is equally, if not more people that do not need to go to university. But the beliefs pushed onto them either via their parents or the schooling system lead them to attend university. So just like that example, a lot of members of the UK have it in their mind to go and buy a home. They want to work relentlessly to pay down their mortgage and to become debt-free. It's a belief that many of us have been brought up with, especially those of us born between, let's say, 1990 and 2010. And I do actually believe in the future, we will switch to become more of a renting nation in decades to come. But there's 2 ways to look at that belief. Firstly, if you are someone that just wants to go to work, go to your job, pay down your mortgage, upgrade your car every few years, and have some really nice holidays, then, well, that's great. Paying down your mortgage is probably the best route for you to go and take. And therefore, I wouldn't change anything on my account. Focus on what brings you fulfillment in life. But if you are the other type of person, if you are the person who wants more than that kind of day-to-day cycle, maybe you want to own investment properties to phase out your work, or maybe you eventually actually want to go on to work full-time for yourself and own all of your time. And maybe you just want to own investment properties in order to boost your income and your lifestyle. But whatever it is, you are probably going to have to switch your mindset on debt. Unless you are sitting on some kind of large pot of cash and it's ready to go, ready to invest, then the chances are you are going to need to alter the way that you use debt. And for those of you that don't have much capital available to you, but you do have a home that you've either added value to or you've been living in for a few years and paying down your mortgage, well, this is where your equity comes into play. But before I proceed forward, please get some financial advice from an expert. I am simply explaining the options that you have available to you in this video, but I'm not qualified to go and give you that advice. But now I've said that, now let's walk through the different options that you have available. So number 1 is going to be quite simply remortgaging. So let me explain. Remortgaging to release equity is a way to access cash tied up in your home's value by taking out a new mortgage on the property. This can be done with your current lender or a new one. And for those of you watching this video right now, coming up to the end of your mortgage term, maybe it's within the next 6 months, I'd be thinking about what is your loan to value on your current mortgage? Do you own a home and have, let's say, 40% equity in it? Perhaps you could then refinance 20% out and leave 20% in the next time you go to remortgage and change product. And it might not be life-changing amounts of money, but there have been countless times that I've helped Property X members release in the region of £40,000 to £60,000 from their homes, which has enabled them to go on and purchase more investment properties. It's definitely something that you should consider. The second option is a second charge. This is known as a second charge mortgage or a secured loan or a homeowner loan. And a second charge is a loan secured against a property that takes second priority to the first mortgage, the first mortgage being this one. When your main mortgage has a first charge, it therefore has priority if you get repossessed. They would take control of your property, liquidate the asset, and reclaim debt that you owed them. Whereas this second charge mortgage does what it says on the tin. The lender is second in line. They get second refusal on your debt, and therefore it's a riskier loan for them to lend you. Lenders giving a second charge will likely want to understand how you can afford to pay for it on top of your main mortgage, and check that you have equity in your property that could be called upon if you were to be repossessed and they wanted to get some money back. Number 3, and not to be discounted here, is a further advance. A further advance is a way to borrow money from your current lender on your existing mortgage. It's usually actually simpler than remortgaging onto a new mortgage or getting a second charge. And the perfect scenario would actually be if, let's say, you've taken out a 5-year fixed mortgage on your home, but you're only 2 years into that mortgage, but you're wanting to release more money for home improvements or for property investing. Well, rather than doing a complete remortgage and paying the higher early repayment charge, also known as an ERC, because that would be just a waste of money, to be quite frank. It's a penalty fee for leaving your mortgage product early. Instead, you get a further advance, which is basically like borrowing your own equity off of your own current lender. Now, you will need to have equity in the property in the first place, otherwise there isn't anything to borrow. For example, if you have 40% equity and 60% debt, so then you go to borrow 10 or 20% on a further advance, well, you'll now have 2 separate monthly mortgage payments to make. And in the future, when you move house or when you go to remortgage, then you can consolidate those debts together. And the main difference between these two, a further advance and a second charge, is the lender. A further advance is a loan from your current lender, while a second charge could be a loan from a different lender. And lastly is the dreaded equity release. And this has got a bad rap, so much so that I would avoid talking about this or recommending this altogether, because it will involve you either taking out a lifetime mortgage, so you will be paying interest for the rest of your life, or it will be a home reversion release, which means you're selling a share of your property to the bank. And obviously they then possess and hold a share in your house effectively. They have control over that portion of your house. And the majority of people watching this video are going to be wanting to make better financial decisions in life and will potentially want to pass their assets onto their children. And therefore, I wouldn't recommend either of these options that I've just mentioned that fall under the equity release bracket. So here are some final thoughts from me. When you release that money from your property, you need to then compare that to how much money it can make you. Because obviously if it's costing you a lot, you need it to make more money. If releasing this equity from your home, let's say, costs you £500 extra per month, and use it to buy a buy-to-let that only makes you £250 profit per month, well, then you're at a net loss. Yes, you could argue there will be some capital growth at play in the background, but that's purely speculative. I like to invest in cash flow first, then have capital growth as a bonus. And I never rely on capital growth only. So I would want that money to be working at a net profit, not a net loss. And then secondly, as I mentioned earlier, please get financial advice from an expert and consider all of your options, because if you can't keep up with your mortgage payments, then your home is at risk and you could be repossessed if you were to stop paying your mortgage payments. And effectively, we are talking about releasing money from your home here. So you are risking the place that you live in to go and make more money. So do think sensibly when making this decision. I think debt is a great tool to leverage if you can do that safely and go on and make more money. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.